Today on the channel, we finish up the Summerslam Elite Wave for 2023 with the Mr. Perfect Build-A-Figure, and we rank the entire wave from my least favorite to my favorite.
The spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel as we finish up SummerSlam Elite 2023 Wave with the Build-A-Figure Mr. Perfect, and of course the rankings and the reviews of the entire set. And as usual, if you're looking for this set or anything in the wrestling world, make sure you're hitting up Ringside Collectibles. Use discount code Kyle. Save yourself 10%. And we're going to finish this series of videos off with the Mr. Perfect Build-A-Figure first. Then in the back half, we're going to rank and review the entire wave from my least favorite to my favorite. So get your list together, as I always say. But of course, Mr. Perfect as the Build-A-Figure here, carrying on the recent tradition of the Build-A-Figures being suited body characters. We've had Mean Gene, we've had Vince, we've had Paul Ellering, Mr. Perfect. Danny Davis kind of counts as a suit with the referee outfit on. So it is on brand here, and Mr. Perfect, we needed this version of Mr. Perfect, and how well this would have sold on its own, probably not the best unless it was in a basic line, but as a Build-A-Figure, this does work for me. It is a pivotal moment in Mr. Perfect's career back in the day, being an advisor to, of course, the Nature Boy Ric Flair, and then getting back in the ring and winning the Loser Leaves Town match against Ric Flair at one of the early Monday Night Raw episodes that we all remember here. But we do got two arms, we got the legs, the torso, the head, extra hands, which is always a nice touch, but let's put him together here. Going to start with that torso. Hopefully it fits in there. There you go. You hear that pop and click. It fits right like so. Now we're going to get down to the arms. Let's pop an arm in. There we go. Very tight, very easy. Sometimes these Build-A-Figures, as we've seen in the past, do fight us. They kind of fall apart, come unattached, things like that. Not so much in this case right here. And then we do get the head. We're going to pop that on there. And the cool thing is, you could use any head on this. I guess the back being Mr. Perfect might not work, but it is a suited body. It is a very interesting looking figure here. I like what I see, but let's break this down. Start with the accessories first. He does got two pointer hands. Works for Mr. Perfect. He's pointing out things. He's the assistant. He's helping Ric Flair. He's helping Bobby Heenan. We got some of that. So we got two pointing hands. To me, I'm going to mix and match. I'll put one pointing hand on, one regular hand. I think that does work. Now let's take a look at Mr. Perfect here. An interesting one. Look at this head sculpt first. It looks a lot like Mr. Perfect. I think there's no doubt if you handed me this head, I could tell you it's Mr. Perfect all day long. And it is a little bit different head sculpt than we've got with Mr. Perfect before. Let's see. Did we get two different Elites, a Legends, and a Retro Fest? And I believe we got a yellow basic that was either in a SummerSlam basic or Heritage Wave back in the day. I'm not exactly sure there, but definitely a different head, very similar in the face department, but the hair in the ponytail is something I don't believe we've seen in the past. Usually we get the hair down with Mr. Perfect, but this is on brand for this Mr. Perfect at this time of his career. Definitely does work. He's a little full in the face, which I guess he kind of always did have. Mr. Perfect, of course, a favorite of my generation, we'll call it. Oh, let me tell you about my generation, like the Who. But love Mr. Perfect back in the day. Always said Mr. Perfect and Bret Hart made me realize as a little kid that there was more than the Legion of Doom, Road Warriors, Ultimate Warrior Demolition, which I love that. I still love that. But I remember just thinking, gosh, these guys are just different. And I didn't really put two and two together. I kind of at first said, well, they're the Intercontinental Champion guys. That's how they are. Then I realized there was a little bit more to things. That's kind of how you project and go through your wrestling fandom, or at least most probably do. Mr. Perfect, one of the all-time greats. I do a lot of business travel, as you guys know, and I'm always having a meeting a couple times a year right across the street from the cemetery where Mr. Perfect is buried, and I always kind of look over there, and I always give a little ponder of old Mr. Perfect for a little bit when I park in my car and get all fired up like a young Tommy Rich to go in and give a presentation. So very interesting times with Mr. Perfect throughout the years, no doubt. Met Mr. Perfect's dad many a times at the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame in Waterloo. Just a really, really nice guy. You could tell, you know, they always say whenever you lose a kid or something, you never get over that. You could really tell in Larry the Axe Hennig that, you know, he loved people talking about Kurt. He loved talking about Kurt, but there was a sadness. If you knew him before and after, there was definitely a difference, and I guess that's probably like anybody would have, I'm sure. But let's walk through the articulation real quick on this one. Of course, head's going to be removable, head side to side, back and forth, arms all the way around. Listen to that squeak. Sounds like a mouse. We got a squeak there, got the bicep cut. Double jointed pinless elbows. How about that? I'm here for that. It does have some of that weird suit vibe, and I talked about that with the Hulk Hogan, or what figure was it? No, it was Jimmy, or Jey Uso. Let me get my Usos right. Jey Uso's in this line. It kind of has an unnatural break, and we do get that with suited figures as well. Not the end of the world, but it is something to keep your eye on, or notice, I guess. Hands removable, hands back forth, side to side. You do get waist articulation. No real ab crunch of any kind because of the suit, as you can imagine, but you do get the waist. You do get those big old splits, and we do get that new technology where it used to be a T-style crotch piece there where it just kind of went out, almost like old school DC multiverse figures from Mattel, I believe it was. You had the T-crotch. Now we got more traditional, but we also got the drop-down hips with this one. That's a little interesting in a suited figure needing drop-down hips, but I guess that does make sense because drop-down hips get you a little bit more range of motion in the legs, so that will help. As he is an announcer a lot of times, this Mr. Perfect, he can sit down that way. So that does make sense, I guess. Gives him a better seated positioning in a chair. So that does make sense in the drop-down hip department. You do get thighs back and forth. We get the knees. Oh my gosh, those knees are tight. Tight. Oh, got them there. Got them. They bend, though. They bend, and once again, a very weird kind of bend to them. It's always weird with suited and big, puffy, baggy things because that's just an unnatural turn right there. It just feels strange, but it is there. It's not the end of the world, once again, as I keep saying. He's got a little piece of fuzz in his crotch. How does he get fuzz in his crotch? How does that work? I don't know. But then you get ankles back and forth, side to side. Not a ton of ankles. Got a little bit of bell bottoms almost going on down here. A little bit baggy at the bottom on Mr. Perfect. Love the Mr. Perfect logo on the back. And then it looks like an all-black suit. He's got a black shirt underneath, but you got a little bit of silver accents here at the pocket. You got it on the cufflinks there, and then, of course, the back looks really, really nice. I have no issues with this Mr. Perfect. Another classic guy in a bit more of a deep Mr. Perfect look compared to his singlet colors and things, but I am here for this. I do like it. Does he fit on a ringside collectible stand? What do you know? Use discount code Kyle. Once again, save yourself 10% at Ringside Collectibles. And let's bring out some comparisons. That's one of the fun things about this. You guys know I'm a classics guy. Bringing out the Jakks Classic Superstars version from the Bobby Heenan Ric Flair 3-pack way back in the day as the Walmart exclusive. A very good one. A nice take, a similar take, a different take though. He's got the blue tie going on here. You got the same kind of back. You got Mr. Perfect with the hair down here where it's up here. Similar but different, but get the same points across. And here we are 15 years later or so, give or take, getting an updated version of this one. I think that is really cool. I love me some Jakks Classic Superstars, as you guys know. Check out the videos every single Tuesday on the channel. We deep dive and dissect every single figure in that line. A lot of fun, if you ask me. But we got that one right there. And then, of course, you got to bring out Bobby Heenan. You got these guys right here. And then you get the Nature Boy Ric Flair standing in front. There is Team Flair. They're ready to go. They're ready to take on the entire WWF and keep that title around Ric Flair's waist, or try to get him the title, depending on the circumstances. But always looking good right there. And I should bring out, this was, I believe, the last Mr. Perfect figure we got. Technically not NWO Kurt Hennig, but that's how I put it in my collection. I put this in as NWO. Of course, it's got Mr. Perfect on the back, but I like the black look, and it fits in until we do get an NWO Mr. Perfect, hopefully one day. But very, very cool to get these Mr. Perfects. Very cool to get a lot of these figures here recently, and I think this is a slam dunk Build-A-Figure. And the Build-A-Figure is our greatest hope for some of these deep cut characters, managers, announcers, things like that. I'm very interested to see what will be the Survivor Series Build-A-Figure, and who knows, we might possibly get a little peek under the tent at the WrestleMania Superstore for the WWE WrestleMania weekend. They're going to announce a lot of things, show a lot of things. I wouldn't be shocked if we don't find out who the Survivor Series Build-A-Figure wave person is there. If not, then I would have to think by San Diego Comic-Con we will know. So I'll be looking forward to that in the future. But Mr. Perfect, hey, slam dunk for me. I am here for it. But now we got to turn our attention to the rest of the line. Where's Mr. Perfect going to fall in line? As it's time to rank the entire wave from my least favorite to my favorite. All right, time to get down to business. Let's rank SummerSlam 2023 Build-A-Figure wave from my least favorite to my favorite. As usual, going to ask you guys to do the same thing. Put it in the comments. Make sure you put it in order. That is the hard part. And a very good set as a whole here. A little bit for the old school fan. Mr. Perfect old school fan as well. Current day with the bloodline stuff going on. You know Jey Uso is probably going to be the most popular guy of this set, actually. And then, of course, Dolph Ziggler, a guy that's been very underserved in the elite department. Great to have him back in the line here. Makes a lot of sense putting him in here as another guy here. So a very good wave, a little bit of something for everybody is how I kind of classify this wave. But there can only be number one. But there can only be one number one. And who's it going to be? Well, we'll get there. But let's start it off at number 5. And this is easy for me. This is going to be controversial to some of you, but I'm going Jey Uso at number 5. Just not enough meat on the bone for me. I don't like that he's not paired in the same wave with his brother. I feel that kind of takes this down a notch. If they were together, I think that might help the case for me. But obviously, they're their own individual. They're not defined by their twosome. I understand all that kind of stuff. But I like to see them in the same waves and stuff, and it just feels a little confusing. And this really feels like a figure that was just kind of thrown in because maybe Hulk Hogan and Zeus had a little bit more of the budget, and they needed somebody a little bit cheaper, and that's why they grabbed him. That just kind of feels that way to me. And there's nothing against Jey Uso. It's just he's not as iconic as some of these other ones in this set to me, but I can see somebody younger, a current fan, some little kid that absolutely loves the Usos bloodlines. He'll be at the top. So this, once again, this is the definition of this is my list. Put your list in the comments down below. But Jey gonna go at number 5 for me. And then I'm going to be a shocker right here. I'm going to go Zeus at number 4, and I understand why they would put Zeus in here. Not everybody had an opportunity on the Coliseum collection. They got to get the most out of their molds. They got to get the most out of their contracts with a character. That's what we get with Zeus here. Makes sense to put him in the Elite line, one that is very similar with a little bit of a twist of difference. That works. Now, if Zeus was not in that Ultimate Edition before, I have a feeling I'd probably rate this a heck of a lot higher. It would be a lot bigger surprise to somebody like me and you and everybody else. So for what it is, it's not bad. It's definitely a good figure. It's a top-notch figure if you don't have that Ultimate. So it's definitely good. It's just on this list where that's going to net out. He's netting out at number 4 for me. But old Zeus. Be interested to see if we get a Superstar Zeus, a Mattel Retro Zeus, any more Zeuses in the future. I wouldn't be shocked to see that happen. So there's 5. There's number 4. Now we're going to go to number 3. This might shock some people as well. I'm going to Build-A-Figure Mr. Perfect at number 3. Really do like Mr. Perfect. Obviously one of my all-time favorites. Absolutely do love him. It's just, it's not wrestling gear Mr. Perfect. And so Mr. Perfect, I feel I needed in my collection. That's why he's so high up here. But it's just kind of, Mr. Perfect's going to stand around, maybe announce, do things like that. But still a cool figure. I'm glad they thought of it. And we do need more Mr. Perfect figures in the line. And I hope we get some more Mr. Perfects in the future. We'll see what happens there. So Mr. Perfect coming in at number 3. Brings us down to the final 2. Easy decision for me here. But number 2, Dolph Ziggler, which may surprise some people. I think people might have had Dolph down here, maybe these 2 up, knowing kind of where I came into wrestling and stuff. But Dolph Ziggler's I've been a fan of for many, many years, and I do feel like he is very underserved in the action figure game. So I'm very happy to get one here. The pink and black attack always does pop. Love the hair, kind of the fade of the hair color there. A good head sculpt, and I love the opportunity like we did in the review of this one. His most recent basic figure, you can pop those heads back and forth. You can really make some points of differences with Dolph Ziggler, and I hope we get more Dolph Zigglers in the future. I don't know if we will, but this is a good start, and we'll see what happens in the future. So future. But there you go, and then we're going to finish it off with the Hulkster. No doubt in my mind here, of course, an iconic main event when I was a kid. Him tagging with the Ultimate Warrior. A crazy look. He's ready for war. And a Hulk Hogan that feels just so much different than all the Hulk Hogans we're used to getting. It just equals up to being number 1 on this list. There was no doubt. A lot of love and care. A lot of extra accessories to this one, helping it over the hump as well. A very cool figure, very patriotic. Like I said in the review, 4th of July time, I can see a lot of people having patriotic wrestler lists. They could put this one on there very easily. My hope of hopes is the Ultimate Warrior gets a figure to match him in the future, or at least I should say match that WWE magazine cover from back in the day. I would love to see that, and I hope we get General Adnan as well. Those are 2 high on my list now that we have this one here, and of course Colonel Mustafa and Sergeant Slaughter. But a very, very fun wave right here. And like I said at the top, a little bit of something for everybody, which I think is the key to a lot of these pay-per-view waves. Give us the legends. Give us the in-between guys. Give us 1 to 2 new current wrestlers that are out there. Give you the wave, the whole pattern. I think that is a great idea, and that's exactly what we got right here in the SummerSlam 2023 wave. But once again, you got your list. Make sure you put it in the comments down below and let me know what you think of this entire wave. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Were you in the middle? Let me know in the comments down below. Of course, don't forget to like this video like a young hacksaw Jim Duggan. Always helps the channel grow, as you guys know. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, hit the old notification bell, and then don't forget about Patreon for early access to videos like this, bonus content, exclusive content, giveaways, Q&As, you name it, a whole lot going on the old Patreon channel, so make sure you check that one out, and of course it does support the channel and all the content. You can also support the channel at ProWrestlingTees.com, search Kyle Peterson, and don't forget social media, SirPaul64 on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson. A lot of content coming there, and a lot of content coming, as I will, like I said, be at WrestleMania this year. I'm going to check out some of of these new figure reveals firsthand at the WrestleMania Superstore. So you'll want to subscribe, follow along, and all that as we break down all the fun stuff that's here to come in 2023. So until next time for the SummerSlam 2023 Elite Wave, I am Kyle. See you guys all real soon.